If you managed to avoid all the injuries that happened this week on Bloody Sunday, man, I would like to collect your tears, Gypsy. I want to know what type of magic, black magic that you got going on because it was an absolute bloodbath. We saw top first round picks get injured, second round picks, third round picks, people getting injured in practice. You talking about practice? It was brutal, man. Like, I'm pretty sure when I was drafting in my main league, I was about to take Cooper Cup, a freaking book fell off my bookshelf. I'm pretty sure there was like a ripple in time and space. It might have been myself trying to tell myself not to take Cooper Cup.
No, 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 no! Move! Move! No, no!
But I did it anyway. I was feeling real good about myself after week one, but it's just brutal, dude. But we need to figure out what we're going to do. We need to figure out how we're going to move forward. The waiver wire is the best way to recuperate, to recover. Try to figure out what we're going to do moving on, guys. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys my favorite waiver wire pickups. I am Ron from Fantasy Flow. If you do like this video and you get some value from it, I would appreciate a like and a sub. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Maybe you disagree with some of the pricing. Maybe you disagree with some of the dudes that I've mentioned. But we're going to hop in before I waste any more of your time. And the way that I did this, I basically created this graphic where I have it segmented into running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks. I increased the font of some of the dudes who I'm obviously bigger on, just for a little bit of graphical assistance. But we're going to start with probably the more important waiver wire conversations or backfields, whatever you want to call it. It's the Chiefs. So I categorize it here. I lost Pacheco. What are you going to do, man? So we basically have, like, in my opinion, a three-headed backfield is emerging from this. I think the Chiefs have stated that Carson Steele should get the first crack at it. And with that in mind, I do think you have to probably drop the biggest load on him. 30% fab sounds about right. He was already getting some work before Pacheco went down. He was getting some short yardage stuff. They were calling him a fullback on the broadcast. I don't know if he's a fullback or a halfback. I think he's going to just play like first and second down regardless. But with that in mind, on the other side of that coin is Samaje Perine. I think I'd throw about 20% at him. Lower if you don't really need a running back. It's just that we've seen this third down back be very productive for the Chiefs in the past, with Jerick McKinnon, with some of these other third down guys like Darrell Williams and shit in the past. Basically, it's a productive asset to own. And the last guy is going to be Kareem Hunt. This is a weird one. They brought him in for a cup of coffee. I don't know if they're going to end up signing him. I don't know if he's going to be like at the top of the depth chart if they were to bring him in. It's very possible he is just because of the experience. The Chiefs are a win now team, so I know he's old, but they don't really need him for like a long time, right? They just need him for right now. And I don't know. It could be that he supplants both Steele and Perine. That'd be pretty hilarious if everybody, drops fab loads on Carson Steele for him to just end up being the second option. Now, I know 30% probably sounds pretty low for Carson Steele, but I think like it could turn out being a committee, especially with CEH coming back from IR. So without this video being super long, we'll move on now to Rico Dowdle. He's the next guy. I put him in big font letters. 20 to 30%, man, dropped the load. Basically, he read all RBs and snaps, carries, and targets. I know it was a blowout, but he looked a little bit better. Zeke looked better in week one, and Zeke did get the goal line work, and he did get the short yardage stuff. But if Rico Dowdle, I think as the season progresses, it becomes more and more Rico Dowdle's backfield, in my opinion, because Zeke is older. I know he looked good early, but yeah, everybody looks good early, right? When you're not banged up, when you're not like feeling the woes of the long regular season. So I think Rico Dowdle is somebody that I'd go aggressively in on. It is a good offense at the end of the day. Next category of just dudes, it's just a lump of dudes, are handcuffs. Basically, I talk about this every week. You got to pick up the handcuffs, especially if you own the dudes. I wish I would have listened to my own advice last week and I would have picked up Carson Steele so that I wouldn't have to be dealing with this. I essentially was picking up handcuffs for other teams, which now I'm in a pickle, right? Because now I'm sitting with these handcuffs of other teams where I can't actually play these players when my guy goes down. Like, I'm still sitting on a handcuff now. So I think just a general piece of advice, pick up your own handcuffs first or try to trade for them, try to move handcuffs around. Like, it just makes more sense, man. Like, I'm just sitting now with these handcuffs on my roster hoping that somebody else's player gets injured. While when mine gets injured, I am cooked. Bucky Irving heads the list. He had a carry split of 10-7. White looks cooked. He cannot run the ball at all. He's only a reception merchant. I made another video about him earlier this week. Bucky Irving's just going to slowly start cannibalizing this backfield and taking over, the Rachaad White role. Rachaad White is probably just going to be a third down back by the end of the season. But, Bucky Irving himself is not even that amazing. So it's just one of those backfields where it's going to be a passing attack. Baker Mayfield looks great. Godwin looks great. Mike Evans looks great. It's just going to be like when they're in super positive game scripts, Rachaad White will probably be pretty good. So will Bucky Irving. So next guy is Braylon Allen. I put this in fonts. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. I'd throw about 8% at him. Especially if you own Breece Hall, you might have to be a little bit more aggressive there. But he showed a lot of talent, a lot of burst. He's a dude who has an ear, a nose, a mouth, a knee for the end zone. He just can get into the end zone. He gets touchdowns. He's been like that since college. He's a dude that I would really like as a handcuff. Ray Davis is another one. Ray Davis, fucking piece of shit, man. I picked up Ray Davis like in the draft thinking he's going to be like an early down back and he's going to take goal line work away from James Cook. I will eat a bag of shit on that one yet again. He is a pure handcuff. There's no standalone value at all. James Cook is an absolute stud, 3-down workhorse back. James Cook is haunting me in my fucking dreams. It's brutal. Yeah, Ray Davis, still want to throw 1% if you're a James Cook owner. Maybe even 0%, see if you get him as waivers clear. Cam Akers is another one. Basically, Mixon injury. We don't know what's the status of the injury. Seems like it's a pretty rough ankle injury. But they say it's not going to be too bad. Like he's not going to be gone for like multiple weeks, but he could miss a week. And if you're going to get, a guy like Cam Akers who can fill in for a week, 1% might actually be pretty conservative. You might have to open up the coffers for a guy like Cam Akers, right? Like, especially if you're going to get a 1-week start in an offense like that, where we know he could be like a workhorse back and get maybe potentially 20 to 25 carries. 1% might be actually low. So keep your ear to the news and see what happens with Mixon. But you're going to have to make a decision tonight if your waiver wire runs tonight. Ty Chandler, 5%. He just looks great. He looked great last season. They bring in Aaron Jones in the offseason to be a versatile kind of skill back, kind of similar to what DeAndre Swift was brought in for. Like they already had a good for early down runner, but then they bring in this kind of like third down specialist or receiving back specialist, except Jones actually has been looking pretty good. But you still want to invest in the early down guy, which is, it seems like Ty Chandler. He really looked better than Aaron Jones on early downs. That wraps it up for the running backs. There's probably a bunch of dudes that I missed, just like deeper handcuffs and stuff, but those are the ones that come to mind. Wide receivers. So if you lost Cooper Kupp, you see at the top of the list, Demarcus Robinson is the head of it. He was effective even when Puka and Kupp were both healthy, right? He was the number 3 guy. So he slots in now as the number 1. He's the guy that I'd spend the most amount of fab on, about 20%. Tyler Johnson then comes in second at 10%. Looks like Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson should be manning the wide receiver 1 and 2 role, with Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell kind of competing for that third role. I think Jordan Whittington, Tutu, you can, flex how much fab you want to spend on them, on who you believe in more. I think Tutu Atwell is more of like Demarcus Robinson's backup, where they're going to kind of be sharing the field, while Jordan Whittington might just end up being like the number 3 guy pretty much outright. He played quite a lot of snaps when Kupp went down, so do with that what you will. Quentin Johnston is the first dude. He's in the biggest letters. 15% or even higher on Quentin Johnston. He looks to be the red zone guy for the Chargers. I know he kind of just like got open in the red zone and happened to get the touchdowns. Only went 5 for 51 otherwise, but at the end of the day, this offense is going to need to pass the ball sometimes. They're not going to be able to rely on the run always. And Quentin and Ladd McConkey seem like the 2 guys to own in this backfield. What a fucking decline for Josh Palmer, right? Like, I don't know. Everyone was drafting this dude as if he's like, oh, he's the last wide receiver 1. We can get him in the 10th round. Yeah, it looks like he is the wide receiver 100. But next guy is Jalen Tolbert. That was a cringe joke. 3% fab Jalen Tolbert. He actually looked really good. He led Dallas in targets. It was a blowout, and he still led them in targets. It wasn't one of those like fluky, weird games where they're ahead, so they brought in like, young bucks to kind of fill in for Lamb and stuff. Lamb ends up getting the touchdown, obviously, but Jalen Tolbert did make a couple nice plays down the field. Throw 3%. He actually looks pretty good. Alec Pierce and Josh Downs, I got both of them here for 5%. Basically, you want the deep threat guy for the Colts. I just don't know who the fuck it's going to be. Is it Adonai Mitchell? Is it Alec Pierce? Is it Josh Downs? I don't know. Josh Downs is pretty widely available, so you might want to throw a couple buckaroos on him and throw him at the end of your bench. Andre Yoshibas, 3%. He had 2 touchdowns. Basically, Jamar Chase is getting defended like a piece of cake at a fat camp, dude. There's just an army of fats surrounding Jamar Chase. A cornerback and a safety. They're playing 2-shell coverage over Chase at all times. He cannot get open. Andre Yoshivas is the guy who gets 2 touchdowns, runs really nice routes in the red zone, ends up beasting and feasting, but he doesn't really have much else other than that. But he's a guy that I'd throw a couple bucks on. The problem is that T. Higgins is coming back, and T. Higgins is probably going to be the guy who gets those. He's going to have those 2 touchdown games in the games that Chase gets double covered. But still a nice piece to have just in case one of them goes down. Darnell Mooney, another 3%. He just had 7 targets, 3 for 88 and a touchdown. Basically off a broken play. Like he breaks the ankles of the Eagles' corner. Was it Gardner Johnson, I believe? Just like he breaks like an arm tackle, spins off him, and just runs into the end zone off like a 60-yard touchdown pass or something like that, or 50-yard touchdown pass. So has a pretty decent stat line, gets a decent amount of fantasy points, but it's kind of disgusting. And here are some nasty picks, dude. Here are some picks if you're feeling like you're down bad, you're 0-2, and your team just looks like shit. You lost Pacheco, you lost everybody. The guys you did draft are like Deontay Johnson. Adam Thielen's actually an interesting pick. I know he's like 62.5, give or take 10 years, but 93% route run rate, bro. He's a veteran presence. We got Andy Dalton coming in now for Bryce Young. If he can ignite this offense a little, I think we might be able to see a white-to-white connection. We might be able to see Andy Dalton and Thielen, just 2 old bucks, dude. It's going to be like the Expendables out there, man. They're just going to be connecting on a lot of like short yardage stuff. So same thing applies to Deontay Johnson, but Deontay Johnson's not somebody we can pick up off waivers. So you might as well throw a $0 bid on Adam Thielen. Just see what happens, dude. Old man Thielen. Next guy, Josh Reynolds. I'll throw about 1% on him. 80% route run rate. He went 4 for 93. He's like the clear wide receiver 2 for the Broncos. I can already see the comments I can already see the comment in the comment section. Why the fuck would I want to own anybody from the Broncos? And you know what? I'm with you. But that's why I put 1%. He's just a dude. Look, he's the wide receiver 2 on an NFL team. He has a heartbeat at the moment. We are just simmering in the blood of all the injured players that even anyone with a heartbeat right now is someone that we can use. Quarterbacks is next. Baker Mayfield, big font, 10% or more if you're really quarterback needy. He just looks great, man. Like, huge respect to Baker Mayfield. He has turned his career around. At one point, dude, he was like juking people, giving them guns as he passed, like double guns as he passed by. He was fucking like deucing people like Tyreek Hill on the field. Like, I was like, who is this dude? This guy has the most riz I've ever seen. And the Bucks don't really have a run game that we can really talk about. So Baker Mayfield has been great. I think he's the number 1 quarterback through 2 weeks. And then on the same exact narrative is Derek Carr, bro. He's looked great. The offense in New Orleans looks fantastic. They play action pass more than anybody in the NFL. I think they had like a 69% play action rate. Like, they either run the ball or they play action and throw deep, or they play action, throw intermediate. It's just such a fantastic offense. I don't know why everyone else doesn't just do it. Geno Smith, 5%. Derek Carr, 5%. Derek Carr, maybe even more if you need a quarterback. But we already know what's going to happen, right? The minute we start to give a fuck about Derek Carr and we actually throw stacks on Derek Carr and we actually start him in our teams, he is going to turn into a fart, dude, into a Halloween pumpkin. And we're going to be regretting why we did it. And the same thing applies to Geno Smith. The Seattle Seahawks have looked great. Okay, I'm a believer. The Seattle offense is for real. Geno Smith isn't the fart that I proclaimed he was before the season. But still, the offense looks great. Great weapons. JSN has emerged like I fucking predicted. So 5% on Geno Smith if you need a quarterback. He's something that I would start. I would basically carousel between quarterbacks, play the matchups, kind of stream them. Be careful playing these dudes in really negative matchups or against really good defenses. These are dudes who can, at any given moment, dude, just a gust of wind, a sniff will turn these guys into farts. So you want to be careful. Tight ends rounds out this video. Hunter Henry is the top of the list. Hunter Henry, dude, might be a guy that, even if you're not super tight end heavy, I might go fucking throw some bones down on Hunter Henry. 10% or more. just he's like the dude for this offense. Like he had like a 29% target share for a tight end. He's just a nice safety valve underneath guy. He gets red zone targets. The wide receivers for the Patriots just don't really look very solidified or very like confident. So Hunter Henry's a dude I really like. Mike Gesicki is the next guy, 3%. This might be a mirage. Mike Gesicki essentially was just like the Chiefs were playing too high shell, so they're giving up a lot of short yardage stuff, and Mike Gesicki was just profiting from that. But that seems to be the way the NFL is headed. So like running backs and tight ends who play short yardage stuff are going to profit. And Greg Dulcich is another nasty pick. I should have put him in the middle category, but I throw just a $0 fab bid. They were like force feeding Greg Dulcich the ball. Same kind of idea. Bo Nix, just his radius that he can actually see is only about 10 yards, and that's where Greg Dulcich was stationed. Those are the players, guys. I probably missed a bunch. Hope you guys liked this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some value from it. I would appreciate a like and a sub if you did. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.